Much to the delight of Daiei, Gamera vs. Gauss was a bigger box office hit than Gamera vs. Berugan, proving to the studio and director Noriaki Yuasa that their strategy of appealing primarily to children was the right way to go. And yet, despite this good news, Dai found themselves facing significant financial hurdles, to the point where the future of the series wasn't looking good. However, through a timely deal with American distributor AIP, another film was quickly greenlit, this time with a significantly smaller budget. And so, unsurprisingly, the resulting film, Gamera vs. Viras, ended up being a major step backward for the series in nearly every way. When two troublemaking, precocious young Boy Scouts cross paths with Gamera, they find themselves caught in the crossfire between the Flying Turtle and an alien vessel with aspirations of taking over the Earth. The aliens kidnap the two boys, using them as hostages to compel Gamera to attack the major cities of Japan. As the world attempts to rescue the boys and stave off an alien invasion, the boys attempt to free Gamera from the influence of the aliens, leading to the inevitable showdown between the friend of all children and a multi-limbed leader of the aliens dubbed Viras. Like all the previous films, Gamera vs. Viras opens with an attention-grabbing action scene, this time of Gamera facing off against a nefarious alien ship in outer space. It's the kind of low-budget good fun that had made the last film so entertaining, leading one to believe that this film would be of similar quality. Unfortunately, the longer it goes on, the more apparent it becomes that this is not the case, eventually revealing itself to be a substandard monster flick, severely crippled with an inability to tell its story in a satisfactory way. Gamera vs. Viras' biggest issue is that it clearly didn't have the budget necessary to tell its story. There are some good ideas at play here, and for the first 20 minutes or so the movie is decent enough, establishing its story and characters at a nice brisk pace. But as soon as the film stops and has its villainous aliens watch a highlight reel of the past 3 films, it's all downhill, devolving into storytelling so lazy it's embarrassing even by genre standards. Copious amounts of stock footage pervade the narrative, all of it presented without any creativity or intention of hiding the fact. It all becomes fairly demoralizing, to the point that when Gamera and Viras eventually face off in the film's final moments, it's too little, too late. Yes, coming off its action-packed predecessor, it's downright shocking how little kaiju action there is. Gamera vs. Viras saves it all for the final 10 minutes, and aside from a few good moments, it's very lackluster, a reflection of its lackluster budget. While all of Gamera's previous fights suffered from pacing issues, here it's particularly slow and monotonous, suffering from flat, uninteresting choreography. It's extremely obvious that there was neither the time nor the money to craft this action scene into something exciting, and the result, despite all efforts, is a monster fight that's as underwhelming as the rest of the film. So with little original kaiju content, that leaves the human story to hold the rest of the film together, and here Gamera vs. Viras is not much better. The film focuses on a troop of Boy Scouts, specifically 2, a Japanese boy named Masao and an American boy named Jim. On the plus side, these 2 are more proactive and competent than the children of prior Gamera films, though their ability to outsmart adults and aliens alike is laughably absurd. However, those who can't stand the antics of children will find the limits of their patience tested. Kojiro Hongo returns yet again, this time a mere supporting player, and thus is given little to do other than act as a stern but caring authority figure. There are many other supporting characters, many played by familiar faces, but the film is mostly centered on Masao and Jim, and how much the story resonates with you depends on how much of them you can stomach.
Jim! Oh, Jim! Oh, Jim! Oh, Jim!
Gamera vs. Viras isn't a total loss, as there are a few moments of inspiration. Despite its aim at children, the film carries over the cartoonish brutal violence of the prior films, including some elements of body horror that may jolt you back to your senses. The glowing yellow eyes of the aliens shrouded in shadow also makes for an effective and unnerving image that may actually give the littlest kids nightmares. And finally, there is something to be admired about the way director Noriaki Yuasa made the most with the lack of time and resources at his disposal. His efforts here are commendable, though it's not enough to save the film. Simply put, Gamera vs. Viras was a remarkably steep decline in quality for the franchise at the time. In contrast to its predecessor, which was full of color and fun, this film is drab and dull, containing little entertainment value. Most of Gamera's screen time consists of poorly implemented stock footage, and Viras, while a decently designed and executed monster, isn't present enough to make any sort of lasting impression. And while the story is no more logically sound than any of the prior Gamera films, without anything to hold your attention, the narrative flaws call attention to themselves all the more. It teeters on the edge of being unwatchable, and is thus a film that only the most hardcore Gamera completionists should bother seeking out. For more reviews and opinions on all things Gamera, subscribe and stay tuned to Up From the Depths.